I'm well, thank you very much. How are you? Thank you. One of my best.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm better than I was last time. My apologies, by the way. I've still got a bit of a cold, and it was a flu. But yes, I'm definitely better.
There was two bits that happened today. One is that the acting principal, and I've forgot his name, from Williams, has tested positive for COVID. So that literally just dropped about an hour ago. So he won't be at the race this weekend. Tested on Monday, he was negative. Then displayed some symptoms. Tested again on Wednesday, and he's positive. So he's now to isolate for 10 days.
Hello, everybody.
No.
Sorry if you can't hear Tiller. We are having technical well, it wouldn't be an Everything F1 podcast if we weren't having technical difficulties, was it?
We always have something.
We've been able to hear you all the way through, mate.
Is it Ben Edwards, the commentator for Formula One? That's his name, isn't it? Yeah, he's announced that he's stepping down as lead commentator for Channel 4 at the end of the season. After 5 years as lead commentator, along with mine and Joe's own DC. So he's a pretty distinctive commentator voice-wise, so I don't know who they're going to bring in. I don't think I saw anything to say why he was stepping down. It just he was decided to step down.
No, I think he'll lead the way for someone else to come in though. I don't know why he stepped down. Obviously, maybe he's not comfortable. I think I've sorted out my sound now, so I do apologise if you didn't hear my sound at first. I actually muted myself stupidly. Sorry about that. But I'm sure everyone is blessed and thankful for that. Actually, sometimes. But hopefully we've got the sound back now and you can all hear me. As you say, that Ben Edwards has quit. Said he's going to resign from his position. Who do you think will take his mantle? Maybe that's something we can speculate. If everyone watches the Channel 4 coverage at home, maybe you could drop a comment and see who you'd like to take over his mantle at the Channel 4 commentating. Who would you prefer to have, Sponge?
I don't really know who there is, if I'm completely honest with you.
Alex Jakes, is he the one that does all the...
He does the F2 and F3 now, doesn't he? So
yes, would he move up?
I suppose he could, but
or is he waiting for?
Would that be a step down for him?
Do you think?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I know it's like free to air, so you'll get his name out there and everything. But do people watch a lot of highlights on the sport anymore? I don't know.
No.
I really don't know whether it would be a backward step or a forward step for him. So.
J.R. Witten on our Facebook page said Robert Kubica can take over.
I was going to say
Well, who else steps in when you need him? Who else is there out there that every single time that you need him for a job, he's literally in a hotel 5 miles down the road,
Nico
waiting
Hulkenberg.
for his call? Exactly. Get him on it. He was actually supposed to be working on a TV show, wasn't he, that weekend?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Germans
That's
are
why-
That's why he was there.
absolutely.
Nico Rosberg would be quite good because he doesn't really care, so he's going to say his thing. Plus, he's quite good at spotting things quite quick.
He riles up
Coops,
the
close the door on your way out, Coops.
he riles up the
Goodness
fans though,
gracious.
doesn't he, Nico Rosberg? He riles up the fans,
He does.
especially the Lewis fans.
Well, that's true, but then they're all just a wee bit hurting. Does it take much to rile up the Lewis fans?
Hey,
Does it take much
I'm a
to
Lewis
rile up the
fan.
non-Lewis? It's all right. In about half an hour, we're going to wind up Joe by pissing off
Don't.
talking about Max
Don't
Verstappen. So, on
What
the
about him? What about him?
Thank
Come on,
he's
you.
an absolute utter anyway. So, on the group chat, on the post that we put up about Ben Edwards, a couple of folk mentioned Julian Palmer. Getting him
he
over
is
for
good.
the BBC coverage. He's quite good. Whether he'd want to do it on an actual show, I mean, it's not too much different to what he's already doing. You know, with the podcast on the Checkered Flag podcast with the BBC and stuff.
Yeah.
But then you've got to remember, Channel 4 have DC, Mark Webber, Billy Munger doing this stuff. Billy Munger's pretty decent for quite a young and up and coming. So, you know, Mark Webber, DC, Billy Munger doing it between the three of them would be quite good, I think.
Yeah, I mean they've got a pretty decent lineup anyway, haven't they? So do they need to fill the gap? Is DC good enough as a main commentator for the others to take up the kind of the role as the expert opinion, as it were? I suppose it's something they might discover later next year. I'm sure we'll find out soon, and there'll be an announcement shortly. What other news have we had this week? I think one of them was it the Saudi Arabia track that was recently agreed to for the calendar for next year. What are your opinions on that, Joe?
Yeah, I was listening. Sorry, what?
Saudi Arabia. What are your opinions on Saudi Arabia?
Lord. Okay, I'm not loving the look of the track, and I think it's going to be an utter poop show with all the equality, all the slogans, it's going to be interesting. But the track doesn't look too great either. It's not looking brilliant. Not for me anyway.
I mean, they always look nice grounds and stuff like that, and the you know the stadiums and the buildings always look very pretty and very nice.
They look stunning.
I think that's what Tilke's main kind of forte is, really, all the buildings and all the whatnot. But the tracks always seem very similar. But hey, it might be a great one. We don't know. He has made some decent tracks. But I think obviously what I'm worried about is the whole equality thing, and it kind of goes out the window a bit, doesn't it? With the We Racers One slogan they brought in this year, and then they go and go one of the more, well, I don't want to say backwards countries, but when it comes to their human rights and the normal human rights of ladies of everyone, I don't think they encompass what the We Racers One slogan does. What are your thoughts about that, Coops? I'm sure you've got an opinion.
Oh, yes, definitely. Right, so we're going over there now. Before anyone says I'm not into human rights, that's not true. But I think people seem to forget. Let's look at a couple of the countries we go to already that's never been mentioned about human rights. We go to China. Right, come on. We go to Russia. Both of them have questionable human rights issues. Russia definitely about LGBTQ. China, I'm not sure about the LGBTQ, but they do have human rights issues. There's other countries in there that are probably got questionable human rights. But then all of a sudden we go to Saudi Arabia and oh my God, human rights. Well, you've got to think, yes, the human rights is an issue and it's an opportunity to raise that fact. But what about the actual civilians and the people there? Now, for a long time, they've been shielded and not able to get any kind of sport at all in the country. Just because their government isn't a particularly good government, are they not allowed to have something there? Do we punish them and say we're not going to go? You know, there was a tweet that I found online about a guy who's going to book a holiday. He's not going to watch it. He's not going to get involved in it. And then when he was quizzed about, you know, China, and he was quizzed about Russia, he's like, yeah, well, but they've came out with this "We Racers Won" kind of campaign. So what? Because before that campaign came out, you're going to forget about the human rights? But now the campaign's out. Oh, it's a big thing. You can't be that hypocritical. Yes, let's have an issue. Let's raise it up. Let's talk about it. Use it as a platform to discuss it. But to say that, you know, the people that are going to boycott it and not watch it, you know, you're kind of punishing the actual fans that live there who have no real control over the government stance.
Yeah, true. Very true. Very valid point. Very valid point, isn't it?
So that's my thoughts. I haven't seen the track yet, so I'll need to have a look and see what the track's like, but I haven't seen it yet.
Sponge, do you have an opinion on that?
I don't think I can put it any better than what Coops has just said, to be honest with you. I think he's put that absolutely perfectly well. I think it's right to question it, but if you're going to question it in one place, you've got to question it in all the places. So, like I say, I think Coops has just said that absolutely perfectly.
Spot on, Coops. Well done.
Well, thank you.
And I've just set a poll for everyone to answer who was watching the video. They can either click yes or no if you agree with the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Click yes. If you don't, click no. Makes it simple.
I was getting all excited then. I thought when you said that you put a poll up, I thought you meant like, you know, people need to select whether they prefer north or south. Like, you know, I thought we were going really all out on it then.
No, just about the current topic that we're talking. I'm trying to have a bit of audience participation. Trying to get the crowd involved. Hello, Leon. Hello, Leon Salinas. We welcome you aboard to our podcast or live vodcast that we're doing today. If you by all means have any questions, just pop them in those comments, and we will hopefully get across to them at some point. So the next subject on our evening vodcast is the race calendar next year and the missing race, which was the Vietnam race. Do we have any speculation as to why they're missing the Vietnam race? I know Coops probably has the inside and outside story. Let's talk to someone else first. Let's see what Joe thinks about the Vietnam race and the lack of it for next year.
I'm disappointed. I was really looking forward to it. I had a glimpse into it when I was looking through the news over the last few days, trying to catch up with everything that I missed when I was unwell. And I do have a vague memory of it, but I am not going to embarrass myself and say it because I know fine well Coops knows the answer to that. So I will leave it to his expertise, as always. But I'm quite gutted actually. I was really genuinely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it did look like a great track. It really did look like a great track. Yeah. But yes, unfortunately, and I don't know if there's any future to it. But what I will do is I'll let Coops explain why, because he's got the full in-depth analysis as per usual. So Coops, go on then. Let us know why the Vietnam Grand Prix isn't happening.
Okay, so the Vietnam Grand Prix had reluctant government backing, and it was a certain person. Now I can't find his name, I was just looking for it there, but it was a certain person. He was the main cheerleader to get Formula One to Vietnam. Now he's just been arrested for corruption charges, so he is no longer on the scene.
This is very common from Formula One countries, isn't it? Where they've brought a Formula One race over to that country, and someone's taken a massive backhander in order to do so. So it's historically happened, I think.
From what the reports I've read and when I've looked up, they're saying that it's not connected to the Formula One thing. However, you know, guilty by association. The man has been arrested on pretty major corruption issues. He's no longer part of it. The government have been basically the government have said, no, we've got other things to pay for. We're going to leave that half-built track there, and we're not doing it.
Is it
they've left?
Is it a no-go forever, or will it be something that they come back to?
Well, they've left the space. I think it was in the calendar. It's the 25th of April, and that's to be confirmed.
Right. Okay.
It looks pretty much like it's gone because all the chat I'm finding is talking about what's going to replace it, which is quite good because Turkey, Portimao, and Imola, I think, are all being mentioned to return next year.
And some of those would be great.
And I think I haven't heard anything about Mugello, and I've heard that one of the German tracks, now there's about 302 German tracks, so God knows which one, but one of them could be also in the frame for it. So from what I'm guessing, if the government aren't wanting to spend any more money on it, and it's not built, I mean the track's not finished, then because it is a street circuit, so they have to rebuild it for when they're going to show it. So it looks, from what I can gather, it's probably the first ever Grand Prix that's only been on the Formula One game, but not actually live.
That's terrible, isn't it?
Never actually. So, and just to let you know, the Formula One game, when you played it on that, the track was awful. I hated that track. Oh, it is terrible. Could not hook
Not
it
just
up
on
at
F1
all.
2020. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what game you play it on. That track is cack.
It's just
And you
unreal.
don't like it,
It's-
Sponge?
You can't polish a turd. I'm sorry. You can't put it any other way.
Is that just because you're not very
I'm
good
not-
at the game, or is it?
In
Or is it
no,
just a crap track?
In terms of driving,
Mm.
it's not a bad track. It's twisty, whatever. In terms of having a race, no chance.
Right. Okay.
It's one after the other. That's it. No
Did you
chance.
find the same thing, Coops?
Yes,
When you played it?
there's.
Yeah.
It's very twisty. You go offline, you're hitting a wall. You can't. You're never going to get side by side racing, even with the questionable Codemasters AI. You've
Right.
got what, maybe half a chance a lap, and I mean the lap's a minute 42 seconds if you're playing it by the game. It's not a short track.
No.
So yeah, it's going to be processional. It was, but it was awful to drive. Maybe, I mean, I'm a guy that races Formula One 2020 with fucking, corner assists on and stuff like that, and racing lines and ABS and stuff. But I still didn't like it. I'm not a professional. I do it for fun, but no, it was awful.
Fair enough. But I'll tell you what track is coming back next year, Zandvoort. Which
Yay!
looks like a great track. So we segue from what we think is a poor track to what some of us, by the looks of it, think is a great track, apart from Sponge. So I'll tell you where we'll go to first. We'll go to Sponge. What are your opinions
no.
on Zandvoort next year? Come on, Sponge.
I
Divulge
don't
the
like
information.
what they've done with Zandvoort. I feel sorry for Zandvoort. I really, really feel bad for the circuit because turn 1 they've opened up. Turn 3 or 4, I think it is the second hairpin. They've really opened that up.
Mm.
It's just taken all the challenge out of it, and they've
But these
ironed out
cars-
the
these
surface
cars
like
are
they
so
do.
much bigger than when they historically raced there. They need.
Don't take them there then. Stop ruining tracks. Stop building cack new tracks and stop ruining good old tracks.
But I think it looks
you
great
mean-
with the banking and everything. I'm really excited for Zandvoort myself. How about you,
The
Joe?
last-
You excited for Zandvoort?
Oh yeah, definitely. I cannot wait. I can't wait to see how the modern day, like you said, the wider cars, how they fare on, banking such as this. I mean, depending on how this track plays out, could depend on how we look at building future tracks as well.
Yeah.
So it can. Some of the older ideas might be able to come back again. It's interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
And as a Max Verstappen fan, obviously that'll be kind of like it'll be kind of like a good track
The
for,
only Max Verstappen
for
fan.
your fellow fans.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's going to be beautiful when they're all there.
Yeah, of course.
You just can't help it.
Coops, what do you
But-
think about
oh,
the
we-
Zandvoort track?
Well, going by Formula 1 2020 again, it was pretty enjoyable to race. I quite enjoyed it. And as Joe says, it'll be interesting. They have moved it to later on in the year because it was supposed to be in around about kind of April this year. They've moved it to September to give it more chance for the Orange Army to come in, which sounds a lot like they're just going to get a bunch of Scots people with ginger beers.
Some of your fellas.
Maybe that's why Joe likes Max Verstappen that much. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see. You don't know how it'll play out with the banking. Whether it'll be fun.
Will it mean much for the tyres? Are the tyres up for it? Obviously, they would have done extensive testing and that sort of thing. But it's
Tyres
going
will
to
be
be
fine.
interesting, isn't it? Because the last time they had banking like that, we had was that in the States back in Oh,
that was during that was 2000. I want to say 2005.
Five, yeah, I think it was 5, yeah.
And it was it the Michelin runners?
Yeah,
that
all
couldn't
the
do
tyres
it
were just
because
failing.
they didn't work. Then they tried to give them minimum speeds through the corner. Then they wanted to put a chicane there. So it ended up that was 6 runners that done that. That was the Ferrari, was it the Jordans, and I want to say like the Minardis or something.
Yeah, it was absolutely terrible. It was such a terrible race, and such a terrible weekend for the sport. We kind of hang our head in shame and we don't speak about that too often.
No.
No.
It's just for me. It's bizarre looking back on it. I was quite young then, so I didn't really look into the politics. But looking back on it, how did something that serious get that far? They know they were going to Indianapolis. They knew the banker was there.
Yeah.
Why is it they done one race, one crash, and went, the tyres might not work actually? Like, what? Like, you knew about this? This track's not a new track. Come on.
They just didn't like lateral load, did they, at all? Any lateral load on the tyres, and it just bust them. And then was it not Ralf Schumacher that went backwards into the wall and smashed up his back? I think it was. Yeah.
That was the first crash that caused the red flags to come out of the kind of the warning thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hopefully we're not going to have any of those problems with Zandvoort. I think Pirelli have gone and done some serious R&D and made sure that we won't have those sorts of issues.
No, we shouldn't have. But then there's different grip levels as well for it as well, so they don't behave anywhere near the way they did back then. Were they groove tyres back in 2005?
They were, yeah, they were still in the grooves.
Oh, fuck it, they were horrible, man. Jesus.
They should never have lost slicks, ever.
No.
We need racing slicks in Formula 1.
Yeah.
What subject do we go on to now? Obviously, that was Zandvoort. We've got any other news, Joe, that you want to talk about?
Well, there's nothing like overly. This is going to sound really mean. There's nothing overly exciting, but I did see that Grosjean got rather upset when it came out that he was no longer going to be running in F1. Only one driver texted him to say, and it was our favourite boy.
You know why it is though, Joe, don't you?
Well, yeah, he's not exactly everyone's favourite, is he?
Nobody's got him in their phone.
Well, there is that. I mean,
if you get a text off Roman Grosjean, it crashes your phone, doesn't it?
I think it was only because...
Damn!
Isn't George Russell the only person he hasn't hit?
Yeah, it could be.
Still time. Yeah. There's still plenty of time.
But, yeah, so our favourite boy and Gemma's favourite boy, he was the only one that was nice enough to get in touch and say, sorry you're going, mate. But it's not exactly newsworthy, but I found it hilarious. I shouldn't have, but I did.
Well, I think Roman Grosjean will be happy that you mentioned him anyway. So
somebody's got to.
That's good. Well, we'll move on now to the race, obviously, that's just been, where we know we're not going to go into a full review of that race because obviously it was over a week and a half ago now. But what's important to discuss is the Merc winning their 7th consecutive championship in a row, which is just an amazing feat. They've broken the record of Ferrari of having 6 in a row, and that is fully deserved. They've left the other teams in their tracks. What have you got to say about that, Sponge?
Don't think there's enough that can be said about it, to be honest with you. I think it's an amazing feat. I know that they've had more money than anybody else to do it. A lot of people will say, you know, the more money that you put in, the better. It's always the case with any sport, but
no,
at the end of the day, the people back in the factory are doing the business, aren't they? You know what I mean? So
you can't slate Mercedes for doing the job that they're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. Everybody that works at that factory needs to work in harmony. And for you to, you know, the more people that you employ, the more money that you spend, the more logistically you have to put together. So that's a feat in itself. To do that 7 years on the bounce, I just think it's pretty amazing, to be honest.
It's insane, really, isn't it? It's insane.
Yeah, like I say, people will hate, people will moan at their dominance. I've moaned at their dominance plenty of times. I'm one of the worst for it, but that's only because I want to see better racing. But again, it's the same as Lewis. Whatever you think of them, whatever you think of him, you can't deny the fact of what he's achieved. It's never been done before, ever.
No, exactly.
So, I mean that kind of thing where you can't compare, you can't necessarily compare drivers to previous generations. You probably can when it comes to teams, because the amount of investment that teams put in, to get their success back, it's always been the same. The more money that you've got, the better you will do.
Yeah.
So, you
Although
can
it's not always 100% true. We've had a few teams that have done it.
Absolutely.
Very
But,
bare minimum.
there's always an exception to the rule, but the rule is still there, isn't it? So, I think, never take it away from the people that work at the factory, the honest people that are there to earn a living. They work hard, and they've got their reward, basically. So well done to them.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Coops? How do you feel about the Mercedes 7th championship in a row?
Oh, they're all a bunch of bandits. They've ruined the sport. God's sake, it's terrible. Shocking. No, that's for our people out there. That was sarcasm. No, they're just doing what they're supposed to do. Although I will say, it's fun saying that because they've got the most money, they're probably going to get successful. We all need to remember the Toyota experiment. They had the biggest budget on the grid at the time, and I don't think they even got a podium. So it's not necessarily the money, it's where they put the money and who they put the money in. So, they saw something in Lewis Hamilton. They had to go to, is it Petronas, or you call them? They went to Petronas and went, give us more money because we want to bring Lewis Hamilton to Mercedes. They had to go and get more money to bring him in because they saw the future. They just brought in the right people at the right time, a bit like Ferrari back in the day. They brought in the right people at the right time, and they've been able to sustain that success now. That's the biggest star for them, is sustaining it over 7 years with the likes of Red Bull and Ferrari. And got to remember, Ferrari weren't exactly playing by the rules for the last few years. So, even being able to do that and still keep the team going at the front of the grid when you had Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg basically falling out and the atmosphere that was causing.
Yeah.
As Sponge says, you could. There's not enough things in the English dictionary to talk about how good it is. Now, as an entertainment spectacle for the sport, well, okay, but then there's never been parity in Formula One. Something I've wanted to write about and talk about for a while. Back in the start, it was Alfa Romeo, I think, that were the front runners that won everything. Then you had a dominating period for Williams, you had a dominating period for McLaren, you had a dominating period for another team. Ferrari done it most recently, now Mercedes. It's just the way that it is. Absolutely. That's how the sport works.
It goes in cycles, doesn't it?
It does. Hopefully they won't have such a length of domination with the new regulations coming in. You might see a couple of years, and once the new the new rules with regard to the team at the team that finishes last gets more development time for the following year, and then it staggers as it goes up the grid, keeps the things closer. So hopefully you don't see it going on as long, maybe a couple of years, 2-3 years, but closer. Maybe, but yeah, you just can't take it away from them.
No,
they came out and done what they needed to do.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And
can I just go back? Can I go?
Go on,
just jump back onto the schedule for next year?
Yeah.
I just noticed something. We've got 2 triple headers, and one of them is. This is great. This is great for logistics. You're going from Monaco on the 23rd of May to Azerbaijan for the 6th of June to Canada on the 13th of June. What? And then what? I don't know why they came up with that idea. And then the next one is Italy on the 12th, Then you got the 26th. It's what one is it? It's I think it's the 5th, the 12th, and the 26th. There's another one, but I can't find it later on in the year. But going from Baku to Canada to France and then Monaco beforehand, I mean, what the
They like to set themselves a challenge. That's all it is.
Wow.
But they've got the flyaway team. They do have the flyaway team and they do have the European team. So it won't be the same cars that are going over to X, Y, and Z. It'll be the same cars, but the rest of the garages and the rest of the other things, they have separate kind of packs for those sorts of things. So the one from Baku will just head off to France. There'll be some small setup in Canada ready, and then they'll just probably ship the cars over there. So that's how they kind of get around those sorts of issues with taking the whole.
And we're not going to the cut down Rio de Janeiro circuit either. We're going back to Sao Paulo.
Yay! Well, that's good. That's good. We like Sao Paulo.
Well, for one more year maybe.
Yeah, one more year.
We're still going to Melbourne. I mean, it's probably one of the worst circuits on the calendar. But,
Hey, we've got a lot of Australian fans that will probably disagree with you there.
Wait, well, no. Hey, come on. One of the years I watched it, there was one on-track pass in the whole race. Now, whoever wants to say that's a good Grand Prix, then they can just go and watch Formula E or something. I don't know.
Which would you prefer in Australia then? Would you prefer Adelaide or one of the
Adelaide? Absolutely, Adelaide.
Adelaide was a great track, but I don't think it's got Grade 1 anymore.
Grade 1 listing, no.
No, they've shortened it as well, haven't they?
No, I think they moved partly because of safety concerns back then, and if they're moving for safety concerns back then, I think it was 96, 97? 96. Because 96 was when Schumacher punted Hill off the track.
Yeah, but don't forget though, the cars or the season after next are going to be 3 seconds a lap slower than they are now, if they said.
Yeah, well, they'll probably not. They'll be like a second faster, going by how good the engineers are. I think the problem with Australia is the fact that it's the first race of the season, so everyone's just excited that after so many months of no racing. They're like, oh look, they're racing! I don't care how boring the track is, it's racing! If Australia was in the middle of the season, folk would be like, oh for fuck. Or imagine it coming like a week after a really great race at Azerbaijan or Canada or something, and then you go to Australia, you're like, oh really?
Could you imagine them putting Australia and Paul Ricard one week after the next?
I was literally waiting to say that.
Do you know what would be even worse? You have Monaco, Paul Ricard, and Australia all together.
Oh, good grief!
You just die. You'll be like walking out here now, licking door handles. Like, I want COVID instead. Fuck it. No, that's just not happening. You give me peace. Anyway, sorry, I know I jumped back, but it's just something that popped into my head that I thought we'd have to see.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do now is this seems like a perfect interlude while we set up another Zoom meeting because we're too tight to pay for the upgrade. So we're just going to transition, and you'll probably still hear my voice, but you won't see the three beautiful faces below and to the side of me while I'm setting that up. So just bear with me a second.
Just for everybody as well, before we do go for this first one, Tilla, for anybody that's watching back, we apologise for our tashes, but we are doing Movember. We will speak a little bit about that in the next video, but I feel the need to get that out there now. This is not my normal look. I know without the tash it's not much better, but this is not my normal look.
I done Movember 5 years ago and didn't stop. Nobody gave me the memo.
Right, we're going to run out of time, so I'm going to transition, and then we'll hopefully get a Zoom chat up again quite quickly. So bear with us, folks. Right, drop call. So we're going to be talking about what's coming up soon, which is the issue with Lewis Hamilton. Actually, Lewis Hamilton has dropped hints that he may be retiring, but I think the press have got a hold of it and they've decided that it obviously must mean that he's trying to retire. So we're going to discuss that in a second once I've got everyone aboard. Bear with me a second while I send this invite out to them. How are you, everyone? By all means, please get yourself your questions over to us so we can answer those for you. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. As Sponge did say and did allude to, we do have we are running Movember this month. So me, Sponge, and Gary. Unfortunately, Gary couldn't make it this evening, but me, Sponge, and Gary have decided to grow taches. Now, I had a lovely beard that I had to get rid of, and unfortunately, it's actually by shaving it off, it's made my skin all sore. So I'm suffering for this charity. So please, all I want you to do is go into your pocket if you've got a spare 50p, pound, whatever you've got spare in this day and age. Absolutely would go a real far away if you could sponsor us. So that'd be great. Right, we've got the Zoom up and running. I'll transition now for the chat. There we go. Hi Joe, how are you?
I'm alright.
Back
How are
there,
you?
yeah. Good. And where are Coops and Sponge? They are not there. Where are they?
They ran away and left us.
They ran away and left us. So, hi folks, we would love to have any questions that you might have. Get them into the comments. We can answer them for you. Let us know what your thoughts are about the upcoming Turkish Grand Prix. We haven't talked much about it just yet, so we will be talking about that a little bit more in a moment. So if you've got any questions, any insights into the Turkish Grand Prix, maybe you've been, let us know in the comments. It'd be great to hear from you. We're just waiting on my... See those people in there? They are here. Admit and admit. Here they are. Hi Sponge. So I was just talking to the fans that we've got the Turkish Grand Prix coming up. I've asked them to get some questions over to us. So hopefully they'll do that in the comments very shortly. We've got a couple of more news pieces to speak about. We're going to speak about Lewis Hamilton and will he or won't he retire at the end of this year? We're just waiting on Coops to arrive and join us, and then we'll continue our conversation about that. So, I mean, what are your thoughts, everybody? Do you anybody who's watching, do you think Lewis Hamilton will be retiring at the end of the year? Is it something that you think see realistically doing? He'll be hitting 7, so he'll be matching Michael Schumacher for the World Championships.
Sorry, I just read one of our comments.
I'm going to have to read that by the sound of it. It made him jump. Made Joe jump.
Oh my god.
What?
You've spied it, haven't you? Oh, there he is. Hi. By the way, this is what I'm doing and why I didn't hear your first question, because somehow, even though I'm the female, Tiller can multipass better than I can.
You think?
Apparently. Well, yeah, because you're managing it, and I just totally blanked out earlier on while trying to read the comment. I was like, oh, he's asked me something. I don't know what we're talking about.
I probably blanked out a few times myself when I was setting up a few of the polls. But yeah, let's anyway. Let's talk about Lewis Hamilton then. Hamilton, he in an interview he said he doesn't know if he's going to be here next year. Now this was, let's note, after the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix a week and a half ago. So I think personally, it was specifically about that track. He doesn't know about when he's going to be back at Imola. But the press and the media have run away with it, and lots of different things have come to light about, oh yes, it could be his time to retire, could be time to leave. What are your thoughts about it, Sponge?
I don't think he will.
Excuse me.
No,
I think he's already said. I think it's a case of you can say something to somebody 100 times and they'll ignore you until they hear what they want to hear once, and then they'll go and report that as much as they can. Yeah, I think he said enough times he will be here.
He even said in that interview, "I want to be here next year." He actually said,
yeah.
But the press have completely ignored that part of the statement.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he'll definitely be there. I don't think there's a question about it. I just think it's being blown out of all proportion. Shock horror by the media.
How about
There
you,
we
Coops?
go.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I think if he goes, he goes. I don't think he'll go purely because next year they've got the best car. The car can't be changed much for the whole grid. Hold on 1 second. Excuse me. Oh dear, it's the COVID. Anyway, I think, next year Mercedes are pretty much a shoe-in because none of the other teams can really do much for the car with this token system. Very limited development. So he's going to get his 8th title.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Unless Bottas comes into Bottas 4.92 or some shit. I don't know. To whom it may concern, whatever. Anyway, so I think he'll do next year, and then I think he might retire. I think they might just extend his contract for 1 year because, he gets his 8 championships. Is there anyone on the grid anytime soon that are going to get 8 championships? And if the Formula One regulations work the way they work with the salary caps and everything else that's coming out, the chances of a team becoming as dominant shouldn't happen. So he hits 8 championships, he gets 100 and God knows how many wins, God knows every pole, he's probably broke just about every record you can think of, and then go away and make his music and chill out. He doesn't need to answer to anybody after that. He should be knighted right now, but that's another debate. But I don't see there being an issue. Yeah, I think he'll do 1 more year.
Interesting by Junior Witten said he's done. What's his motivation? He'll probably announce it at the Turkey Grand Prix. I think you just hit the nail on the head though, Coops. 8 world titles. He's broken every other record. Why would you not hang around for at least 1 more season when you've been in the sport for 13 years already? Why would you not hang around for another season to try and break that record? There is not a sports person in the world in any sport that wouldn't want to hold the greatest of all time title in that sport.
Absolutely not. I don't think he's leaving. I don't think he's leaving until he sees how the Merc does in the 2022 rules. If that first year of the 2022 rules, comes along and he's not very good, or the car's not very good, or he's not performing, then maybe he might question it. I think I don't think he's going for the next 3 years at least. That's my estimate anyway. Because I think what sounds like a really nice round number. 10 championships. 10 championships, and that sounds beautiful to me. Sounds beautiful. I know it'll bore lots of people because they'll be like, oh, not 3 more years of Lewis Hamilton dominance. But I'm still enjoying the racing, and Lewis Hamilton's winning. I'm enjoying all the racing down throughout the whole mid-table battles. So I still think people can enjoy, and hopefully people will be just making it harder for him in his future races. That's my what I want to happen anyway. What do you think, Joe, about Lewis Hamilton retiring?
I don't think I was listening this time. I don't think he's going anywhere yet, right? So I get what JR's saying. What's his motivation? But right now, why would he leave? He's on top of his game. Merc are on top of their game. No one's coming close. It would be utterly ridiculous. I mean, even if they fell back massively next season, they're still
so far out. Ferrari.
Yeah, well, exactly. They're still so far out, in front of the field that they're still going to potentially, more than likely, win next year. So you've got that one right under the belt now.
That's
so why go? Yeah, you know what I mean? It makes absolutely no sense. I think they're going to hold off. He's probably going to see what the 2021 regs look like, how Merc are going to cope with it, if the other teams are going to get their finger out their backside and catch up or not. But then, at the rate he's going, he could keep going until the 2026 change. I mean, there's nothing stopping them right now. And if everything goes well for them come 2021, there's going to be nothing stopping them until 2026. Why leave? He said it himself, he's the fittest he's ever been. He's the best he's ever felt. Why would he leave now? He's got the rest of his life to do everything else. Just seems daft from the go.
It could also just be a way of him trying to secure more money from Mercedes.
Yeah. That's what I would do.
It's contract time, isn't it? And he's trying to drive a hard bargain. He's hot property, and no doubt Mercedes see the investment as good. I mean, I read an article which is a couple of years out of date, and I think we did mention this in the last podcast actually. But the amount of money that Mercedes put to give to kind of Formula One in terms of paying for the team, they more than triple it in revenue. So it's a no-brainer really to me. I think it's something like 300 million, and they get 957 million worth of money from it, worth of revenue and sales from it. So it just makes absolute sense. I think it's more fashionable now to own a Mercedes, isn't it? So it's come back into fashion. I don't think it ever went too far away, but it came back into fashion because of obviously the stuff that Hamilton and the Mercedes team have done in Formula One.
The only thing I'd say is, the only thing that may stop all of that in its tracks isn't how Merck are doing, it could be how Total changes over that time. I think even if Merck are still succeeding and still the best of the best, I do think that could maybe sway his plans if Total was to leave. But that being the only thing, which isn't going to happen in the next year either.
Yeah, well, Toto's definitely booked on for next year, not necessarily in the team principal role, but he does have shares in Aston Martin, so there might be a future in that direction somewhere. What do you think, Coops? I'm sure you've read extensively on this subject.
I think it's just a bigger deal with Lewis Hamilton because he's not got a contract for next year. If Toto goes, Aston Martin would be his only place to go. He's very good friends with Lawrence Stroll. Aston Martin are pretty much a branch of Mercedes. Mercedes and Aston Martin very much interlinked. They supply certain engines to the road cars. I think there's been another agreement. There's something technological about a closer relationship's been sorted recently.
Yeah,
with them as well. So if anything, then he would go to Aston Martin. That's not to say that he will. Why would he say that he's, during lockdown he's reflecting on his family time and then go and be a team principal at another team? At a season that, in a time where Formula One's looking at upwards of 23, 25 races a year. If he steps back, he's reducing his time and he'll stay as an advisor. He might step into the Niki Lauda kind of non-executive chairman type role as an advisor to whoever takes it on. And while I mentioned Niki Lauda, did you notice in the celebrations for the 7 World Championships that Toto was wearing Niki Lauda's red hat?
Yeah, that was a nice touch. That was nice. Yeah. Really good. Because he was an integral part to many of those championships. So absolutely.
Well,
nice.
Without him getting Hamilton over, would they get 7? I don't know. It was him that talked Lewis Hamilton to come over.
Yeah.
Into a project that wasn't competitive. And was it the first year he was there, he won one race.
Yeah.
Don't think he got on the podium more than a couple of times. I don't know. Toto, I think, will stay with Mercedes, but he'll just slowly kind of go into the background, and then he'll probably retire and go into his big massive house and swim around his money. A bit like the DuckTales TV show, But it would be interesting to see how he would work at Aston Martin. I think that would be quite fun to watch him and see if he could do the same thing as he did at Mercedes. I think he'd be close to it, just by his management style. And I think Seb would really enjoy working with Toto. I think they two would work well together. I think Seb would work well with anything that doesn't rhyme with Binotto, to be honest. Aye.
Okay. Well, I just want to touch on what Leon Salinas says. Thank you very much for your comment, Leon. He agrees. He thinks that Lewis Hamilton will be here for 3 more years. That was obviously jumping back to our Lewis Hamilton question a moment ago. So yeah, I'm with you, Leon, on this one. I think he's going to be there for 3 more years, at least. I think probably maybe even a few more. I know that will annoy JR by the sound of it. What's JR said this time? He said they won't let Botox do it. I'm guessing that's his nickname for Bottas. They won't let Botox take a championship from Lewis.
I like that one.
Yeah, it was
In
a good
case
one.
you can't tell, JR is a Ferrari fan.
Oh, but Ferrari did the same. Ferrari did the same thing. They stopped Eddie Irvine from winning the championship so that Eddie Irvine wasn't going to win it before Michael Schumacher. And was it '99?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something wrong with his brakes. Aye, no bother. Aye, whatever. So it's not unknown. But another thing, speaking of Ferrari, great segue. I found out as well today that Matteo Binotto is apparently not going to be at the last 4 races of the season.
What does that mean? Why?
On a training course.
Well, that means I don't know if that means that he woke up to a horse's head in his bed or something. But apparently, it's to develop the car for next year and after.
Well, he was engine, wasn't he? He was engine focused previously.
Oh yeah, he was, but he's not that anymore. So that's why he's got a team of folk to do that for him. So I don't know. I think there's more to it. I think there's other things. I think they're saying to him, like, you go and help with the car. They're going to test the water with someone else. They've obviously got someone else here, Mark, to run the team to see if that helps. But it seems a bit weird that a team principal would do that for development of the car, because that sounds to me like a step down, to be honest.
I don't know, because Zach Brown got involved in that, didn't he? He got involved in literally like every department until he was happy, and then started delegating jobs out again.
Yeah, but Zach Brown was never the team principal. I think it was Gilles Dufresne that was his team principal. He always hired someone to run the day-to-day work into the team, while he was the kind of the businessman and the sponsored person. He never ran the team. Whereas Binotto, or the mad scientist, whoever you want to call him, he's the
Harry
team
Potter.
principal. He's not Harry Potter. He's like the real-time version of Pinky and the Brain. But so I don't know. Something's going on, and I don't think it's
always going on at Ferrari.
I'm just going to say that. Every other team you'd be like, "What? Why is Toto? What?" But Ferrari is just like, "Oh, there's another one."
It's like that Simpsons gif, isn't it, where he comes in, puts his hat on, then turns around again, grabs it and goes out.
No, straight in, straight back out.
It's a shame, because that's part of the reason why they are where they are. But
they're too scared Ferrari would never have came up with the DAS system because they're too scared it would fail and someone would lose their job, because that's what happens, and that's the mentality and the way that it works in Ferrari. There's a culture of fear. If they don't win something, or they don't produce what they're expected to produce, then someone loses a job. And the other side of that, the reason for that is because they've got the whole weight of the country. Now, it's the only team in the whole world in connection with Formula One that's front page news in Italy. They have front page news. If they do something wrong, if we Jimmy in the factory drops a spanner and scratches the floor, it's in the paper. It's everything is part of the world. It's just part of a culture over there. So they need to allow the right people to do the job. And if they have a bad season, because the next season for Ferrari is a free season. They're not going to do anything. That's why Haas have decided to sack their drivers and bring in what we think is going to be Mazepin and Mick Schumacher, is the talk of the town. They're going to bring in 2 rookies, because they're not going anywhere next year. Bring in the 2 rookies and then let's develop the car for 2022. But that's just the way it is in Ferrari, unfortunately.
Okay,
who's a Mazepin, Coops?
Oh, sorry, carry on.
Who's a Mazepin?
Mazepin.
Yeah, he's a Mazepin. Mazepin.
I was trying to be funny. I wasn't. Sorry. Carry on.
No. Is it marzipan? Is that what?
That's the one. Marzipan.
Marzipan.
Yeah. It's marzipan.
I like that.
That's nice. That stuff. I like that.
Well, let's move on to the preview of. Oh, actually, let's plug our social networks first. Obviously, you are joining us on Facebook. We're here pretty much every day. We also have a Instagram and a Twitter, and they're all the same handles. It's at Join EF1. Please just join, like, follow, share, grow our following on those social networks, as we are a little bit quieter over there at the moment. So we want them to be as big and as have as many fans as you guys here on Facebook. But let's go into the track preview for the Intercity Istanbul Park. Does anyone want to read out the track info for that? Does anyone want to go into that, Joe? You've written it all down, so you may as well tell us all about the track in Istanbul, Turkey.
Normally I would love to, but since my internet keeps dropping, I'm only getting every second or third word, and I don't know if you hear of me. So I'll do the next one.
We can hear you. We can hear you all. We can hear everything of you.
That's worrying, including my coughing.
Yes.
So the track is the Intercity Istanbul Park. It's a 5.338 mile track, which kilometers. Sorry, not miles. Kilometers. And the race distance is 309.396 kilometers, and number of laps will have 58. And the current lap record was one of Coops' favourites, Juan Pablo Montoya.
You broke my fucking head!
And the first GP was in 2005, and then it stopped in 2011, the 8th of May, I think it was. It stopped. And it was the last ever race. So, yeah, we haven't been there for 9 years. Who's looking forward to the Turkey Grand Prix?
Me.
All of us.
Absolutely. I love this track.
It's going to be epic.
I actually really enjoyed the track when it was previously there, so I'm really looking forward to going back there. And
was this a Tilka track?
Yes,
I think it was. Yeah. I think
this is interesting. What happened after Turkey?
He started repeating things from Turkey and then didn't do anything new. I think that's what it was.
What it was he was smoking something when he done Turkey, and then he got off the then he got off the gear after Turkey, and everything just became the same. Every Tilka is a straight line, hairpin, straight line, hairpin, squiggly bit, straight line, hairpin. That's just what he does for the moment. Anyway,
I like the track. I like the track. I think it's going to be a really good one. And Lewis Hamilton's fared well there, but the person that's won the most there, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't got this written down, but it's Felipe Massa. Did it 3 years in a row?
Yeah.
Yes.
For Ferrari back in the days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
The last race, it was Vettel, Webber, Alonso as the top three. So it was Red Bull, Ferrari.
Was that not shenanigans though that caused that? Or am I thinking of a different year? I might be thinking of a different year.
No, in 2011, I mean, you're right at the height of Red Bull being good. So,
yeah, but was that not the year where there was, I don't know, like a blowout, or there was something to do with tyres right at the tail end, and that was how? Maybe I'm thinking. Never mind.
I'm just looking. I'm doing some left-handed.
I wouldn't bank on me being right.
I'm doing some left-handed googling. So
who do you Sponge? Who do you see performing well this weekend, Sponge? Who do you see performing well?
I think Racing Point will probably do quite well. Obviously, Merck and Red Bull are going to be up there. I think Ferrari's cars will struggle again.
Let's change that. Max will be up there. Albon will be out back probably at this point and apologising for a spin or a mistake.
When you say out back, do you mean in the paddock? Or just leave him there? Leave him playing chess?
Probably. Backgammon, I think it was.
He's on the internet ordering his Alpha Tauri gear. That's what he'll be doing.
Yeah, I think it's got to the point now where it's difficult to keep defending him, isn't it? Really.
I like the guy as a person. I like the guy as a person. But unfortunately, he's not got what it takes for a Formula One. The big team. Maybe next year in the AlphaTauri, but in the main team, I think it's.
I don't necessarily. How do I put this? I don't necessarily think he's not good enough for Red Bull, but I don't think he can cope with the pressure associated by Red Bull on that seat.
Yeah.
I think if he was given a little bit more freedom, say somewhere like, I don't know, Racing Point, for example, or maybe McLaren, I think he would excel. But I don't think he deserves any of them seats based on what he has done. I think it's a bit of a catch-22 for him. I've said many a time I don't like Red Bull. I don't like their young driver setup. I don't like Marco.
Mm.
I don't like the way that they put pressure on their
Who
drivers,
does?
and I don't think that they can. I don't think they're capable of supporting two drivers either. I think
Yeah.
they have a main driver that they take the bulk of their setup from, and then they have a supporting driver that it's like, there's your setup. Make little tweaks if you want to, but if you can't, then you're out. And yeah, I think that's symptomatic of Ferrari as well, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, I think the Albon thing is, yeah, I think it's hard to defend him. But I do think that Racing Point, McLaren, I think are going to do well this weekend.
Brilliant.
I think
yeah.
they're the two to watch out for. Renault, actually, I mean, that midfield battle, it's
gonna be
really hotting up. I think. Yeah, I think we did a react, did we, last week?
Yeah.
On who we think is going to win that battle. So
Everyone's
I
pretty
think
much
it's an
said
interesting
Daniel
one.
Ricciardo, I think.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, I think
it's-
Renault will get it this year.
Yeah, probably. I really want McLaren to get it, but
I mean,
you're right.
I want McLaren to get it, but just on the way that it's progressing, we've got 4 races to go, and the team that seem to be going up are Renault. The most disappointing are Racing Point. I don't know what's going on with them. They should be a lot better than they are. And McLaren kind of plateaued. They're there or thereabouts, but they're not
Yeah.
where they really kind of should be.
I think the thing is though, Coops, if you're in the likes of McLaren and not necessarily Racing Point because they're just a bottomless pit now by the sounds of it, but if you're in the McLaren Renault kind of camp, then you're going to be looking towards next season anyway. And when you've got budget constraints like that, you've got to put a stop on, on the current season and start looking towards next season at some point. I think that's probably already started. I think that's why there was a drop off on both of them, to be honest.
Well, that
probably has.
That puts me in a little segue at the moment. Just because I wanted to discuss it with you. Did Daniel Ricciardo leave too soon from Renault, given how well they're doing currently?
No.
I know, obviously, we're talking about McLaren, and McLaren are also, always very stable in terms of they've always got a good aero package. It's been down to their engine for the last few years. But do you think Daniel Ricciardo might be slightly regretting his move next year?
Not at all. No.
Not at all.
Nope.
I know you two, but you two are two massive McLaren fans. I'm a massive McLaren.
No, but I understand that. But how many times have I said a mark of a good racer is not just how good they are on track, but the decisions that they make off track as well.
Yeah.
The career moves that they make. Mm-hmm. You could do an Alonso and just keep treading water or going backwards. Or you could do a Ricciardo like Senna did and look to the future. McLaren are going to be Mercedes again from next year. Mercedes have the best engine on the grid.
They've got the best engine, but there are other teams that aren't winning, with the Mercedes engine. Look where Williams is. It's all the way back there. It's not a given that just by putting a Mercedes engine on a chassis that's, let's face it, been designed for a Renault engine currently. They've got a few dispensations for changing the chassis to make it fit. But I don't think we're going to see a McLaren on top next year, or until 2022.
I don't think they'll be on top. But when you look at, the kind of pecking order at the moment, you'd probably edge Renault in front of McLaren. And why wouldn't you? A works Renault team against a factory McLaren team or independent McLaren team, you would expect Renault to be in front, and you'd expect them to be quite a way in front, really.
Yeah.
So I think when you weigh it all up, I honestly do think McLaren will carry on going forward next season, and I think that's why you've seen them plateau so much this season, because they've stopped developing the car, because they know exactly what you've just said, Tiller.
Yeah.
Next year they're putting a new manufacturer's engine into a very similar chassis car, and they need to make it work. You have to make that call to abandon one championship
to go for the other.
For the next one, and I think they've done the right thing. I do think they've done the right thing. I do think that Ricciardo has made the right decision.
I'm looking forward to them being together anyway. And Lando and Daniel Ricciardo and McLaren. I think it's going to be. I think it's a winning team for the future. I just think next year maybe is going to be a bit hit and miss. But that's just my opinion. And I am a McLaren fan, as you guys are as well. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer in there. I'm not doing it to poo-poo on McLaren because I don't like them. I don't think there's anyone out there that dislikes McLaren. I think they're one of the teams that are universally quite liked. Anyway, we were talking about the track. We were talking about the race this weekend. Let's get back to the stats. If you want to set your timers on your phone, set your alarm so you don't miss any of the sessions. Free practice 1 is on Friday the 13th.
Oh, well, it's not this week. Oh my God, it is as well.
And that's between 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Free practice 2 is on Friday the 13th. At 12 p.m. until 1:30 p.m. I'm going to stop that now. Free practice 3 is on Saturday the 14th at 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. Qualifying on Saturday. Qualifying on Saturdays 12 o'clock until 1 p.m. And then the race day is actually a nice early one, so you can get it done before your afternoon dinner. It's 10:10 in the morning on Sunday for the race.
Bit of thought for 10 in the morning.
Yeah, 10:10. So nice and early. Set your alarms and make sure you're watching. Let's do.
Bit of thought for spare a thought for American fans. It's 5:10 in the morning, depending on where they are.
Yeah, nice and early. I hope that tests their dedication. That will test their dedication. Okay, well let's go on to our predictions for first, second, and third. Let's go round. Joe, who do you think is going to be first, second, third? Make some predictions for us.
If I remember correctly, there is rain due at lunchtime potentially.
Don't
Saturday
say
and
it.
Sunday.
Never say there's going to be rain.
No, wait.
It's not going to happen now, Joe.
It doesn't rain. You jinxed it.
Which means there's no rain this weekend, right?
Oh yeah.
Good save, Joe. Good save. No, I was literally going there. So that means it's going to be absolutely perfect weather this weekend. So I'm going to go Lewis, Max, Bottas.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Coops.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's going to be Lewis. It's going to be Bottas, and we're going to get. I'm going to stick my go out with the third one and say Ricciardo.
Ooh, on the podium again. Is that going to be the third tattoo for Cyril Abiteboul?
He's going to be a big tattooed angry man by the end of the season.
Who's your top three, mate?
I'm going to go for a Lewis win.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for a Danny Rick second.
Yeah.
And a Max third.
Ooh, that sounds like an interesting race.
Bottas going to get engine trouble, is he?
Yeah, or he might just be left out the back with Albon. I don't know.
Playing chess.
Albon might take him out.
I'm going to go for Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to go for Valtteri Bottas, and then I'm going to say Max Verstappen. I'm just going to go predictable.
And he calls himself a McLaren fan, and then he comes out with that. Good grief!
Yeah. I'm a realist. So who do we think? Do we think there are going to be DNFs?
Yes.
Albon, Grosjean, Stroll, probably into Max Verstappen to really piss off Joe.
Oh, don't. That's not even funny. I can't believe you would say that.
Well, just like you saying there's going to be rain. So
that means there's not going to be, though.
Well, exactly. Follow my logic.
Okay.
So that's pretty much about all we need to chat about, isn't it, today? The race that's to come. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope all the fans are looking forward to the race. If you've got any questions before we go, I don't want to miss any questions that we might have had. Can you see any questions, guys? Oh, J.R. Whitten has said his prediction is Leclerc, Max, and Daniel. Well,
can I get whatever he's smoking?
I was going to say, are you drunk?
I've had a really bad week. I really need some of that stuff, man.
Dude, I'm sure he's meant to be working. He can't be drinking and working. That's not good.
There may actually be method in the madness there, though. Because
Really?
we've got what? We've got 3 races left now, have we? Turkey?
Four.
No, 4. Turkey,
Yeah.
Bahrain,
Bahrain,
Mark
Abu
2,
Dhabi.
and then Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
The squabble.
Will teams be turning down engines?
Oh, they're going to have to
Save
for the
engines.
they're going to have to for the squabble.
/ use engines that they've already partially used. I think there's everything's up in the air, isn't there? It's 2020. I'm not writing off Ferrari right now. It's 2020.
Hey, Charles Leclerc is doing an amazing job in that car.
Of course he is.
In that dog shit piece of car, he's doing superbly, and he's, you know, I wouldn't put it past him to at least get on the podium. So you never know. Stranger things.
What you usually used to be in a lovely prancing horse is more like a fat, overweight pony at the moment. So I think he's doing brilliantly. Isn't he?
Donkey.
It's getting walked around outside Blackpool Plaza Beach right now.
He's the stallion whisperer.
What?
He's the stallion whisperer. He's the only
That's
one
what
to
I
get the horse.
That's what I whisper to myself at night.
Do you know that Ocon is still on his first engine, I believe?
Is
he?
Oh, well, he's driving.
That.
Okay, I'll revise my grid. I think it's going to be Ocon.
Never mind.
No, the reason is because he's lapping about 5 seconds slower than everyone else on the grid. That's why he's got still on the same engine.
I know who could be a commentator. Ocon.
Maybe.
There you go. Anyway.
So you might have noticed, our fans, looking at that two of people on this chat have got some ridiculous facial hair on their face, i.e. me. I had a lovely beard that I had to shave off for the start of this month, and now this got this terrible thing. That's called a moustache. And below me, Sponge is doing it as well. He's got a lovely moustache there as well. So what we do ask, we are doing this not just to look like ridiculous fools. We are actually doing it to raise money for Movember for all male cancers. So please, put your hand in your pocket. It doesn't have to be anything expensive, or any grand amounts, but, you know, the cost of your Starbucks, or I was going to say a pint down the pub, but you can't even do that anyway. Or a can of Tesco lager. Just pop it in our Movember page and just sponsor us just for looking silly for this month. I mean, I'm going even further. I'm not actually just having a rubbish tash. I'm using a cutthroat razor for the first time, and basically I've lost about 5 gallons of blood just by shaving my face for a couple of times with this cutthroat razor. So I'm really giving everything. I'm giving blood for this charity. So I'm just asking for a couple of quid here and there from you guys to sponsor us for a very worthwhile cause of Movember. And have you got anything to say about this, Sponge? Are you enjoying the moustache experience?
I'm really not enjoying it. However, I'm proud of both of us for doing it. I think.
And Gary, we must say Gary's joining.
And Gary, yes, absolutely. So I think it's important. It's an important subject to raise awareness for. I think they do a great job. So yeah, I'm proud to be doing it. We'll roll on December the 1st.
I'm very proud of both of you, by the way. I am so impressed.
Thank you very much.
And we're not impressed with Coops for chickening out in the end. He didn't want to get rid of the luscious beard.
I just couldn't. I do apologise. I will do something involving the beard in the not too distant future.
You're gonna you've got to tinsel it for the whole month of December then.
It's gonna get some balls on it.
put some balls on your chin. Wouldn't be the first time, mate, Coops.
That's just a Friday night. To be fair. Just. Yeah. How do you think I get it so luscious and fucking full?
You're so pretty.
Thing is, folks, you think that he's joking. He's completely serious.
Oh yeah. Bit of saltiness in there. Works well.
Enough of the crudeness, right? Goodbye, everybody. Thanks very much for tuning in to this evening's Everything F1 Vodcast. We hope we've touched on all the questions that you might have had. Donate to us, drop us a line, like all the posts that we share, and share us with your mates and stuff like that as well. We thank you very much for joining us. I say goodbye from me and goodbye from the 3. Goodbye, everyone.
Hey,
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.